Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The ever-patient and attentive Senator Sasse.
Felt like it was dripping with sarcasm, Mr. Chairman, but thank you. Mr. Wainstein, congratulations on your nomination. Thanks for your past service, and not just thanks to you, but to your wife and daughters. I know one's away, but many times in the years, the decades of your government service, particularly after 9/11, I'm sure Dad was away a lot, so thanks to your family for the sacrifices you all made as well.
Thank you for that.
Ken, do you believe that China sees themselves as engaged in a zero-sum technological race with the U.S.?
Yes, I think they see themselves in a zero-sum technological race with us, and not just technological, other aspects as well.
Can you explain to the American people what you think the CCP's goals are vis-a-vis America and how they seek to exploit America's open society? And to the degree that your views have probably changed over the last couple decades, everybody in 2000 had a much more benign view of what the CCP or what China and the U.S. might be able to do in cooperative competition, but we're in a different place now. Can you explain to us how you see their goals and how your views changed and when?
That's a great question. I was just talking to a friend about that just yesterday. Look, I did sort of have maybe it's Pollyannish, but I had some optimism that China would sort of come into the League of Nations, would operate as a responsible member of the world order, would respect the rules of the world order, and would compete fairly, and become maybe a capitalist democracy of some sort. And I retained vestiges of those hopes for quite some time after the turn of the century. I'll say that, and I mentioned this earlier, I'll say that sort of the rude shock that what kind of made me realize that that was a pipe dream was when I was heading up the National Security Division. We started seeing this just sort of frontal assault by China on stealing our technology. And they're very methodically going industry to industry, hoovering up as much technology and stealing it. Chinese nationals and others being deployed to do that. And it was clear to me that they were not playing according to the rules. In fact, that they were starting a campaign to play in violation of the rules. And that's why we sounded the alarm, very much so, in the time we were at National Security Division, started up an export control initiative that was focused largely on China, doing speeches and press conferences and bringing cases, because I think a lot of people were slow to pick up that lesson that I was probably slow to pick up too. And then since that time, in the last decade, 15 years, I think we've seen that focus on stealing technology and intellectual property and willingness to bend the rules there is now pervasive throughout sort of their whole approach to the West and the United States, military, political, and otherwise. And so I find it to be a very alarming situation, and I agree with your characterization of their feeling that this is a zero-sum game against the United States.
Thank you. I appreciated your back and forth with the Vice Chairman about the 3 hours of work you did via a partner for the China National Offshore Oil Corporation. I think it's important for other members of the Senate, maybe who are not on the Intelligence Committee, to understand what the National Offshore Oil Corporation does. They're essentially a bully for the PLA in the South Sea that tries to intimidate China's neighbors and help the CCP benefit from their civil-military fusion and try to harm other nations that believe in open navigation of the seaways, the rule of law, free trade, human rights, et cetera. And so I've been satisfied in the back and forth that you and I have had with how those 3 hours of billable work came about. I don't mean to speak for the Vice Chairman, but I appreciated the back and forth that you had with him. Would you be willing to pledge that you would do no work for CCP affiliated organizations after your term of government service ends?
Yes, I'm very willing to make that commitment. I'll make that commitment right now.
Thank you. I'm satisfied and look forward to supporting your nomination. And I think that our colleagues on this committee have had a lot of discussions in a classified space in the past, and I think we should be evolving toward a standard where certain types of work with Chinese government-affiliated organizations in the past are not necessarily inexcusable if we understand the context, as yours was. But I think we should be moving toward a standard where all nominees for all national security affiliated affiliated responsibilities, agreed that they would do no work for CCP-affiliated organizations in the future. So I look forward to supporting your nomination. I appreciated the distinction you drew about domestic political extremism versus violent extremism, and I know Senator Cornyn has more questions on that, so I'm happy to move to that second round.
I thank the senator, and I think the point you've made worthy of consideration. I also think the point that there are many of our colleagues, as well as many businesses, that still don't understand this, and one of the critical reasons, and appreciate so many senators on both sides of the dais who've been part of our so-called road shows as we make the case in a classified setting to business and other entities about the challenges the CCP faces. I would simply say